Hi, I'm Padraig Regan, and I'm going to read three poems from my collection Some Integrity, which was published in January by Carcanet. The first poem I'm going to read acts as something of a preface to the book, and it's called 50 Milliliters of India Ink. Opaque and black as gravity, the ink is perfectly unlike the small glass pot whose shape it occupies so passively. It is something's burnt remains that makes it black. It is the sticky leavings of the lac bug that makes it shine. The name of the lac bug has nothing to do with absence, but means in fact a multitude. It performs its tiny fractal creep through the paper's knitted capillaries and finds itself astounded with significance. It means I am not yet dead. I was not untempted to leave this blank. The second poem I wanted to read is called A Machine for Harvesting Olives. And at a certain point, the voice of the olive tree takes over this poem. A Machine for Harvesting Olives. The limb of a nude umbrella, a makeshift robot's hand, a rake that chose to specialise. We introduce it to the tree and comb through the branches. The olives fall onto a tarp like fat, soft hailstones, each one its own insistent fact, a symbol meaning olive. Some leaves are unavoidable. A rough barber, says the tree, it has dragged my children from their home in my knotted form. You think I do not know what happens in the press? There my children weep and die. Their oily souls are wrung from the pulp that once they called themselves. Well, it would say that, wouldn't it? And the last poem I'm going to read is called Poem for Bobby Kendall. This one requires a little bit of explanation. So Bobby Kendall was a pseudonym used by a young man who appeared in the film Pink Narcissus, which is an incredibly beautiful art house erotic film released in the 1970s. And I was very intrigued by this film for a number of reasons, one of which being that this is the only record that we have of the existence of this man, Bobby Kendall. We don't know his real name, we don't know where he was born, we don't know if he's still alive or who he was. And the other reason that I was interested in this film is, I guess, a sense that one always has when you look at queer media, particularly queer erotic media, prior to the 1980s. You have this sense of it being just pre-elegiac. Poem for Bobby Kendall, who does not exist, and who is lying on a bed whose frame is a diorama of swans advertising their monogamy, whose robe would be dangerously sheer if he or his ass existed, who is lousy with pearls and dancing, whose decor would put to shame the most libidinous of courting birds, who by the candelabra's orange light is seductive as meringue and pliable as metaphor, who maps according to its Johns the city that does exist beyond the window of the room he lives his made-up days inside. Oh Bobby, the street is a rat's nest of contingency and neon and steam from the subway grates. A storm is blousing in from the mad Atlantic and pitching the world to its own diagonals. And Bobby, this is the least of our concerns. The future is, as futures often are, just history we haven't memorised, and I cannot say if you survived it. Thanks for listening.